guest today is Darren Albert. Darren has been a leader at ratings and review platforms for the past 10 years and is currently VP of Strategy at RepView, which salespeople use to get insights into sales organization performance that you can't get anywhere else. And frankly, that's a true statement. You can't get a lot of this stuff anyplace else. Darren, welcome. Thanks for making time today.
Thanks, Jeff. Likewise, it's good to be here.
Thank you. So, how did you get involved with sales off-target earnings? Okay, we'll get to the t-shirt in a second. How did you get involved with sales? How did you get involved with RepView? And folks, we're going to be talking about questions you could ask at interviews when you're up for sales jobs. Okay.
Yeah. To answer the first question, how did I get involved in sales? My dad has been in sales for little under half of his career. He was actually a college professor, taught mechanical engineering. They cut his program at the local college that he was teaching at in San Diego, where my parents live. He ended up selling the software that he used to teach. It's called SolidWorks. It's 3D design software. I was 14, 15 when that happened, when they cut his program, saw he was making way more money selling software than he was teaching it. And just the family dynamic, making more money versus being a college professor was way better. And I said, that's interesting. Selling. I feel like I can have conversations with people, and heard my dad on the phone all the time, and using that engineering mindset of reverse engineering problems to come up with solutions, and seeing how much money he was making doing that. I said, that's something I could see myself going into. So it was really about the lifestyle I wanted. I feel like that's career advice for people, is reverse engineer the lifestyle you want, and then figure out the job that you want to get from that. So that's how I got into it.
It's funny. There's only one thing. The first step up from being a starving student is to being a starving professor.
Yeah. It was parents have two sisters. They live in San Diego. It's not the cheapest lifestyle, and just that one switch made a huge difference for the family. So,
gotcha. So how did you arrive at RepView? What's its story? Tell us about that, and spell RepView for everyone else. REPVUE. It's on the shirt, folks. I just got it there.
Exactly, on the shirt here. How did I get to RepView? I've been in the rating, with the intro. Thank you for that. I've been in the ratings and review world pretty much my whole career. A friend of mine and I launched a startup called Find Me Gluten Free, which is now the largest rating and review site and app for gluten-free people. From there, went to a company called Bazaarvoice. They do ratings and reviews for brands and retailers, Nike, Walmart, Costco. Anytime you read reviews, it's powered by Bazaarvoice. Then went to G2, which used to be G2 Crowd, ratings and reviews for buying software. Started there as an individual sales contributor, and then managed a sales team, built the team out from scratch. So I've been in, it's kind of, RepView is the mix of all those worlds. It's ratings and reviews plus selling, how hard it is to do sales hiring. I had to hire 5 salespeople and build out a team from nothing. It was just me as a account executive that got promoted into management. And it's not an easy thing to do. Building out a sales team quickly and getting them productive is not easy to do. And for me, I've always been in this world of transparency, which is the whole idea of what ratings and review sites are. It's just crowdsourced data for the rest of the crowd. And RepView is the intersection of all that. And when I got introduced to Ryan Walsh, our CEO and founder, we just hit it off very quickly as far as the way we think about the world, transparency that should be in sales organizations. And RepView is been a perfect home for me. Been here since July full time.
Cool. So folks, if you work in sales, you know that when you interview for a job, they blow a lot of smoke at you.
Hopefully not.
And it always sounds great. And salespeople, as rough and tough as most of you think you are, you're the most gullible people on the planet. Yeah. Any car salesman sees a salesperson walking in, and they know they got a deal.
It's funny. It's funny. My wife is from Philadelphia. I always have her deal with salespeople or anybody that were short-term kind of interaction, hotel front desk, if she wants more towels or something. Because I'm usually too nice, honestly.
Yeah. So just recognize that you're not as smart as you think you are. You're not as knowledgeable as you think you are when you're taken out of your place of comfort. So what RepView is going to help you with is crowdsourced information about what it's like to work at a lot of these organizations, plus a lot of great information about how to evaluate and assess firms as you talk to them. So let's look at some of the questions people can ask if they're up for sales jobs, okay? Question number one.
Yeah. Do you want me to get into this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So number one, so we have a blog on our site. It's questions to ask the hiring manager when you're interviewing for sales role. Number one is, if I asked the last 3 reps who left voluntarily about your organization, what would they say? And you might get a slew of answers with that one. If you see the hiring manager start to squirm and like figure out what they are going to say answer wise, that to me is kind of an immediate red flag. But you want a candid, honest answer. Like, just be Simon Cowell. Don't give me the BS answer, like just be right to the point and be honest about it. I think transparency tends to win. And that's where I would start. Would love to hear your feedback as you've been in your career.
The one thing I would say right off the bat is it's not just what they say that matters, it's how they answer your question.
Exactly.
Much the same way as they're looking at you.
Yep.
You have to look at them. And if you start getting the nervous response, if you start getting the one where you just know it's BS.
Yep.
You're a salesperson. You know when you're getting a con. Pay attention. When you're dealing with customers, you recognize the con, but often on interviews, people, this is a fact. He told me this. She told me that. And it doesn't work that way, does it? So smell the BS, ask follow-ups to that question. And one of to me, one of the classic things is, why did they leave? And they left for a better opportunity. And most people just accept that. Yep. But you got to dig in another level and go, what made it a better opportunity?
Exactly.
They got away from me.
Yeah. What was missing in their current role that they felt the desire to go look for another one?
And, the answer, because again, sales managers lie as much as salespeople lie. No disrespect, folks. Sales managers do exaggerate. I'll be kind about that. So given the fact that you're going to be exaggerating and so are they, don't accept what the answer is. Dig in another layer and find out what made it a better opportunity or what made them receptive to the call to the best of their recollection. How did they do while they were there? Things along those lines that allow you to observe their mannerisms so that you can smell the BS if it comes up and investigate later on in the interview in a different way and try and get a clearer answer.
Well, in that different way, I mean, we live in a world where we're more connected now than we ever have been in human society, right? The internet is at the click of your fingertips. You can go on LinkedIn and find 3 reps that left an organization voluntarily. Like, you can, if you do enough digging, you can go find those people, and they tend to have those conversations.
Yeah, and perfect answer, by the way. Find them on LinkedIn, message them saying, I'm up for a job with your former firm. Tell me, why'd you leave?
Yep.
And thus you can see whether the manager lied to you.
Exactly. It's fact checking. It's getting a second opinion. And that's actually something you can do, RepView plug, is you can actually ask questions on RepView, and there's a notification that will go out to any former employee that left a rating on RepView for that company. And we help set up those conversations as well too.
Goody.
Exactly.
What's the second question someone could ask?
Yeah. Number 2, if I'm joining a division that has 30 or call it X number of reps, how many of them hit their number last quarter?
Oh, our guys did great.
Yeah. What does that mean? Because you'll get an answer like, oh, well, the team crushed their number. The team blew out the quota. But like that, the team might be carried by, let's say the team has 10 reps. The team might be carried by 2, 3, 4 of those reps, and the other 6 weren't even close to hitting their quota. But the 2, 3, 4 hit the entire team number. And most of the time, the sales managers got a number that they need to hit, which is usually a smaller percentage of the accumulation of all the reps on their team, because they bake in, people not hitting quota. Like your failure is built into the quota, right? So you need to really get specific around how many of those teams hit quota, but how many of the people on the team did. Sorry.
And I would love it if a manager said, of the 10 people we had in the team, 8 of them hit their numbers. 2 were relatively junior people, and they started mid-cycle. Why do I love that? Because there's texture to the answer. It's not just simply that BS, oh, they crushed it.
Yep. How about one layer deeper? How about the hiring manager pops open their CRM, whether it's Salesforce, HubSpot, whatever, and pulls up the dashboard of the rep quota attainment, because they all have that dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
And show me the dashboard. Let me see that. Like, you want to see my resume? You want to see my quota attainment, my past jobs? Why don't you show me your team's quota attainment? What's the difference?
Beautiful. This is fun.
It is fun. But that's also, again, another RepView plug is like, we become a glimpse into that Salesforce dashboard with the data that we collect. We know what percentage of individual teams are hitting quota. And that's what we're trying to help solve, is we know that the managers aren't going to show off the dashboard. We help show off the dashboard.
And how do you get access to that data from a firm's dashboard, or approximate numbers to demonstrate the dashboard?
Yeah. Good question, Jeff. When salespeople log on to RepView to join, they don't get access to any of the data. They have to leave a rating for their current organization or a previous organization in order to get access to RepView. So leave one rating, get access to all of them. One of the questions we ask is, and we're very purposeful about this, we don't ask, did you hit quota last quarter? Because everybody's going to say yes. We ask, what percentage of your team hit quota? And that helps solve this number 2 question. And then we aggregate all that and show that number versus, did the rep hit quota?
Got it. Nice way of approaching it. Yes. What's another question that they could ask? So this would be number 3, I think.
Yep. Well, number 3, what are the top 3 reasons you've lost a deal over the last couple quarters? Answers here are really interesting. Oh, the rep wasn't trained properly, or wasn't a good fit, or they lost budget. Like, those are kind of fluffy answers.
The owner got in the middle of the deal, demanded a certain percentage on top that we'd never have gotten from anyone like this before. And lo and behold, the deal got blown up because the owner stuck his big nose into the middle of the transaction.
Yeah, man, it's funny you mentioned that. I did a LinkedIn post, I don't remember, 6 months ago, maybe, about how we did a poll. I asked, have you ever brought in a sales leader into one of your deals and had it go sideways? And the majority of people said yes. And I got a bunch of direct messages, like, with people saying, oh, you just brought up a really bad memory about how I brought in so-and-so and the deal went sideways and we lost them. They didn't want to deal with the leader. Yeah, that's probably an answer you're not going to get from a sales leader, is like, oh, it was me. I'm the one that helped lose the deal.
Yeah, right. I'm going to confess, I blew up the deal.
Exactly. And it happens all the time, right? Like, there's personality clashes, or like, maybe that is on the rep for not giving the manager enough information going into it. The manager started making assumptions, or the manager's and I was guilty of this when I went into sales management, like becoming a super AE. That happens a lot too. You get like a really good rep that goes to management, and they try to become a super AE and close all the deals. Like, it's a totally different skill set being a manager versus being an AE. It's a different conversation, but.
That's very true. And I'll just say, it's not just simply in sales. Being a manager is completely different. If you think it means being the best of the people who do stuff, you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's a manager, I would love to hear a manager say, you know what, I messed that one up. I got involved too late, or I got involved too early. I mean, there's all these different variables where things can go sideways, and why not be able to control what you can control?
Fabulous. Number 4.
Number 4. I feel like we're on Letterman with like the top 10 countdown. We've only got 7 now. What is the average percentage of pipeline generated by marketing versus sales? And that's a really tall tale. You can get a lot of insight to an organization out of that.
Explain that for the junior people who might be watching this.
Yeah. So a lot of sales teams will have what's called an SDR, which is a sales development rep. They sometimes will report into marketing. Most of the time they report into sales. There's debate on who they should report into. But in this case, let's say they report into sales. The SDR's sole job is going out and doing outbound prospecting to customers. So they're sending LinkedIn messages or emails or sending cookies or whatever to try to attract business and drum up. They're going to the trade shows as well. And it's interesting to see how much that question of where does the majority of your pipeline come from, whether it's marketing or sales, will give you an answer to one, how aligned are marketing and sales in your organization? Because there's a lot of companies that do not have great sales and marketing alignment, which could be an hour podcast in itself. And two, if it's not coming from marketing, and this is a lot of times salespeople will interview with a marketing leader as well as a sales leader, and you might get two different answers. Marketing will say, oh, we source the majority of our pipeline, versus sales goes, we actually are the ones doing the majority of it. So you want to make sure that you're getting an answer that is actually legitimate to what the reality is. And it's really how much product market fit is there? How much work am I going to have to go do to drive demand for what we're selling?
It's interesting. I have a friend who heads up marketing. Well, he's headed up marketing. He's been the CMO for a couple of firms now. And, he claims credit for everything that comes through sales.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's great. And he claims credit for everything. Yeah. And it's his job to do that, but that's a different conversation.
Yep. And that's like, okay, should marketing report, like there's organizations where marketing reports into the chief revenue officer, because the chief revenue officer handles sales and customer retention. I mean, there's different ways to structure it, but at the end of the day, you want your head of marketing, your head of sales to be on the same page.
Amen. And thus, a good answer to that question that someone might expect would be,
in an ideal world, the majority is marketing, right? Like they're casting out the bait and sales is reeling it in. One of the great lines I've ever heard, a guy named Joe Chernoff, he's actually the CMO of a company called Pendo here in Raleigh, where I'm based. It's marketing's job to get the audition and it's sales' job to get the part. In an ideal world, the majority is coming from marketing because you're doing such good branding and all over the place where you need to be in front of your prospective buyers.
If I mentioned the play Glengarry Glen Ross, would you recognize that?
Yeah.
Almost ABC. Every sale, always be closing is one line from it, but the other one is, I want the good leads. Don't give me the crap leads.
Yeah. A lead is not a lead, not all leads are created equal.
So true. So true. Number 5.
Number 5. Yep. So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Can you share with me the comp plan for this year? And you might get a bunch of answers for that. It's, you're going to get X amount of commission if you close Y amount of dollars, and then it goes to Z amount of commission when you close A amount of dollars. You want to get the more complicated the comp plan, the harder it is for you going to be to hit your number because they're trying to make it hard. That tends to be a general theme with comp plans. Another tall tale sign is most comp plans should come out within the first, I'll say within the first month of a fiscal year starting, but there are organizations where the comp plan's not even rolled out until, like, there's companies that still haven't gotten their comp plan and it's May, which is crazy to me. Like, how do you expect a rep to be motivated if they still haven't gotten their comp plan yet? Blows my mind.
It's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre.
Well, it tells me that they don't care about their reps. It's like, this isn't a big enough of a priority for you to do this. Like, you don't care about your reps enough to wait that long.
And since every comp plan gets revisited every year,
yep.
Would asking about the previous year's comp plan be of any value?
You just hit up number 6. That's number 6. That's number 6. It's a great segue. Great segue. Yeah. Because you, as a rep, you want to understand if there's a discrepancy between what this year's is versus last year. Maybe the quotas went way up. Maybe the commission rates got cut. Maybe there's so many different variables. Those are the big ones though. Like, if your commission rate's getting cut, why? What's causing that? Is the company having cash flow issues? Like, that one question will unravel a lot of other things about the health of an organization.
I'm sorry, I wasn't staring at the list. This was natural conversation that prompted me to ask that question. But since sales managers have a tendency to exaggerate,
Yep.
Is it common for sales staff to interview with other salespeople as part of the interview process?
Yes, it should be. And that's where you want to you want to make sure that you're getting an understanding of how teams are performing and how reps are performing, and not just the top rep. You don't want to just talk to the top rep, because you're going to get the same answer. The top rep's been there probably for 4 or 5 years. They've got the best territory that you're going to come to find out. And that's not the reality as a new rep. You're going to get a territory that hasn't been defined that way. You're going to get almost the scraps sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we're going to bring in another salesperson to handle this.
It's the one where the last four people have washed out, but good news, we expect you to be different.
Exactly. Yep. We brought you on because you're so great at what you do.
You're not going to be a loser like the other four people were who worked that territory. You're different.
Yeah. And now that I'm thinking about our 7 questions, I almost think we could rephrase our last, maybe we add one, but like, I'll make this number 7 versus what we have now is, why is this territory open? Why is my job even a job? Did somebody leave? Are you slicing off a new territory? Are you rolling out a new product line? Like, why am I even interviewing for this job? Why is it even available?
And would you then dig into what numbers the person got who was last working that territory?
Yes.
And thus, if it was carved off from an existing one, is this the remnant that this person didn't have time to service? It's really no revenue being generated out of there now. And thus, you're basically going into rainmake business in a place that, hello.
Yeah. You're squeezing blood out of a stone, right? And that's not where you want to be as a salesperson. Like a good answer is, so you asked the question, why is this territory open? These are accounts that we've never touched. That's probably the best answer you can get. It's the company's been growing. We can't hire enough salespeople to keep up with the demand from customers. Ideally, you're getting that backed up by talking to other reps that are like, yeah, I literally am so busy that I can't handle all this. But you don't want to go into a territory that's been completely picked over, where you don't have much left. That's just not a fun place to be. You're going to end up at off-target earnings. You're not going to hit your on-target earnings.
Thank you. One more time on the shirt. Come on.
Yeah, off-target earnings. Yeah, I hate that. I joke about this. Like, I joke about this with Ryan, our CEO. I wish RepView wasn't even a thing. I wish it didn't even need to be a thing, because it would mean that sales orgs are transparent. It would mean that hiring managers were transparent. It would mean that reps would get the full insight that they need when they're going in to get a new sales job, that they don't have to go in and dig into the questions and get the answers that we can help provide. I just wish we weren't even there.
And I'll just share with you the 3 jokes of the recruiting business, because I think it's true about sales organizations. How can you tell a candidate, or how can you tell a salesperson's lying to you?
How?
Their lips are moving.
Oh, that's not nice. That's not nice.
I'm not here to be nice. How can you tell one of your institutional customers, or how can you tell a sales manager is lying to you? Yes.
Yeah.
Their lips are moving. And thus, given that everyone's posturing for advantage in the transaction, you have to do what you can to break through the exaggerations, as I politely called them earlier, and try and get down to some really core stuff. Test it with former people, with existing staff, to get an idea if smoke is being blown up your butt, and be able to dissect whether or not you can trust this person sitting opposite you, because that's exactly what they're trying to do with you. They're trying to figure out if they can trust you. And like all salespeople, you go in gullibly, and as rough and tough as you think you are, so often you walk in and go, well, he told me this, she told me that.
Yeah.
As though everything they say is true.
Yep. And I think that's, so we talk about this a lot. We talk about how past experience from a salesperson and even past performance is not indicative of future performance. So how you did at your previous job doesn't mean you're going to be good or bad at your next job. So the interview process should be, how are you going to be good at this job? Why should we hire you for this job? And it may, like, your past experience may be part of that. Like, Ryan brought me on because I've been in the ratings and review world my whole career, but that doesn't mean I was going to be good at rep view. I still had to learn rep view. And I think one of the ways for everybody to get on the same page really quickly about whether or not a candidate's going to be good for this job that they're applying for, and that's the beauty of sales, is putting them through like an in-person role play. And this is another topic that gets hit on with sales interviewing is, should the candidate role play and try to sell the product that they would be selling, that they're not an expert on yet, that they don't fully understand? Or should they try to sell their current product that they're selling? Or maybe I've talked about this on LinkedIn. If it's a person that's going for an entry-level sales role, sell me on why you love your favorite hobby. Oh, you're into snowboarding? Tell me why you love snowboarding. Why should I go try snowboarding? What are the benefits I'm going to get from it?
Anything that gets them to talk. Anything that gets them off script.
Yep.
Because let's get practical. Folks are going to go to RepView. They're going to learn a lot of basic stuff about how to interview for sales roles, and they're going to get a lot of data, and they've got a script to work with now.
Yep.
And as a hiring manager, as a sales manager, you want to get them off the script. You want to do anything that's going to break their equilibrium to get a sense of how they're going to respond when there's a crunch going on.
Yeah. And that's where the role play with the product that they would be selling, like, I don't think it's set up for people to win, because you don't know the full, like, I've been in those scenarios where I've been interviewing for roles and some of it got very, very technical. And I wasn't fully trained on the product, and because I wasn't working there yet, right? Like, I was in the industry, but I didn't know the little nuances that the team I was interviewing with knew. And I haven't done well on a lot of those. But if it's, hey, pitch me on your current product and why we should buy that, like, that's, you set the stage of the scenario, who the buyers are, et cetera. I would rather see the best come out in a person than the worst, right? Like, at least it's setting them up to win.
And that's what I coach organizations I work with to do on interviews. If you're interviewing a salesperson, midway through the interview, I would say, tell me about the product that you're selling now. Do your presentation to me, and I'm going to be the obnoxious buyer.
Yep.
And just watch how they handle it. See if they do a good job with the presentation. If they don't, you can press the buzzer, send the trapdoor, and send the chair over backward into the moat with the crocodiles.
Yeah. Hopefully we're going a little easier on people these days. It's 2022. I think everybody's been through a lot, but yeah, I mean, and the other side of that too is like, all right, do your presentation, and then the interviewer gives some feedback on how the candidate did. And then one big thing you can pick up on whether or not you want to hire them is, how coachable is that candidate? Are they taking the feedback that you gave them, and are they implementing it in the way that you wanted them to? And if they are, that's usually a sign of somebody that you potentially want to work with.
I just come out of old school. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I just think about how the world has evolved, and a lot of those, like the Glenn Rosses of the world and the sales orgs, are not, like, there are still some of that, but there's, the new wave of leaders that are coming in that have never been exposed to that type of thing. And, it's less about like this cutthroat sales floor. Like, everybody's at home, right? Like, we're sitting here on a Zoom. This is where most sales meetings happen now. Yeah. And it's about being empathetic and being a human being. People buy from people,
It's so true. And I came out of when you work in recruiting, it is that kind of a cutthroat environment. And you do recognize people are exaggerating and conning you all the time, because they view you as the gatekeeper to what they want.
Yeah.
So in those circumstances, sorry, it's the world I lived in for so long. And as a coach, I try and break people of those habits, and I kid them about the habits too, but that's a digression. Have we not covered anything yet that we really should?
I think there's actually like a nice segue into this part of the conversation too. Is one of the things that we capture with RepView is the tech stack that a sales organization uses. And that gives a really good indication into how forward thinking sales orgs are nowadays. So there's tools, there's so many sales collaboration tools. And that's where it's not like this Glenn Ross, cutthroat sales floor, kind of like sweatshop type model. There's more power in the collection of data of one rep talking to a prospect and how another rep can benefit from that. Or, hey, here's all these stories that we've collected from other customers similar to the prospect that you're going after. Like, take all this, because we want the whole organization to win. And I think that's where a lot of sales orgs have switched over to it. And we capture that data with capturing the tech stack that these sales orgs use. So to me, another question that I would ask is, what's the number one thing that you've done to make sure that the team is still collaborating in a post-COVID world where we're working from home and not on the sales floor where we can share stories? And you'll get some tall tale answers out of that. Oh, we don't have any collaboration tools. Oh, we're working on that. Or it's, we use Gong, we use Chorus, we use some of these tools out there that record and capture calls, create a library, let the team get an understanding of what everybody else is talking about. And we collaborate in a weekly meeting where we share best practices and tag people in calls so that they can listen to certain snippets. Like that's a modern sales org. And that's where it's evolved into.
Yes, it is. This is so much fun, Darren. And I really mean that. How can people find out more about you, RepView, the whole bit?
Yeah. I'm on LinkedIn. Ryan Walsh, our CEO, and I are all over LinkedIn posting insights for salespeople. My email is darren@repview.com, DARIN@repview.com. Our website, if you're a salesperson, you want to get an understanding in sales orgs, we're repview.com, repvue.com.
And what's your LinkedIn page?
It's my name, Darren Alpert, as the easiest way. So DARIN Alpert, ALPERT.
So that'd be linkedin.com/IN/Darren Alpert. Darren, this has been wonderful. And folks,
likewise, Jeff. It's fun.
Thank you. Yeah. Folks, we'll be back soon with more. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. Hope you enjoyed this interview. If you did and you're watching on YouTube, share it, leave a comment, do something that lets people know it was worthwhile. And especially if you're in sales, put it out there, because RepView does make a difference for organizations, for people. I also want to encourage you to visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton in the blog to help you with job search, hiring more effectively, management leadership, and to support you with different workplace issues. And while you're there, you can schedule time for an introductory call, schedule time for coaching, find out about my courses, books, and guides. There's a lot there that'll help you. The blog has like 12,000 posts that you can watch, listen to, or read that'll help you in a variety of different ways. Lastly, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Have a terrific day. And most importantly, be great. Take care.